On this episode of the Tuff Juice Podcast, I had none other than Mr. Dame Dash, the icon, the entrepreneur, the true trailblazer, talking about numerous things, spreading stories, talking about love, plant seeds, wealth of insight and information, and what he's doing with Dame Dash Studios. He also had an interesting story talking about, yes, you heard me, Kanye West, the billionaire that's selling shoes, who's selling music, his production is off the chain, and so many other classic stories that you don't want to miss. Tune in to the Tuff Juice Podcast on the Himalaya app or wherever you get your pods. What's going on, OG?
I'm good. How you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. I appreciate you sitting down and giving us some time, bro.
Hey, we got a lot of that now, right?
Yeah, man. Say that again. I want to dive right into it. You know what you've been up to this whole time. You know, with this pandemic happening and going.
Is it all right that I smoke?
Well, yeah. You're good. I'm smoking cigars. You're good.
Good. Well, you know, my life hasn't really changed. I've been practicing social distancing for the last 10 to 12 years. And my model has been, you know, do a lot of work with a little bit of people just because everything has been self-funded. So, you know, I got a television network and, you know, usually entertainment is like recession proof. And, you know, that's because people can go outside and they can escape and go to clubs and they can listen to music and go to concerts. But a pandemic is not something that makes it where all these industries are protected that were protected before. The industries that are booming now are weed, liquor, and content, and I'm in the content business. So, you know, my business hasn't really been affected. It's actually going up because people are looking at, you know, I have a television network and a streaming service, Dame Dash Studios and DT. So I've just been editing, you know, the same, putting out content the same. I have a studio, a 6,000 square foot studio. So I've been able to also do like comedy shows, you know, where there's only one person in the room and they just press the button because I got all the cameras and everything. So I'm built for this. Like I'm used to doing things on my own. And this is when being an independent makes you thrive in this environment, because when you're waiting for someone to give you something or tell you what to do in this very moment, that's all you can do, or try to figure out a different plan. My plan is move forward and to actually step it up, you know, and to make sure that my crew, no one in my crew has to take a pay cut, that we stay productive every day. I've actually told my crew I need more. I want to get more content. We have to edit up more intensely. You know, because I'm not shooting. There's nothing really, me personally, it's nothing to distract me. I want all my stuff edited.
Have you always thought like that, though, as far as like storing content and having it just in case? Like, obviously, could nobody predict a pandemic or a doomsday thing like this, but just having live content that's stored in the library for moments like this where it's a drought and all of a sudden you come with this fresh product.
Well, but my business model has been residual income, get money by the pool. So as an older guy, you know, I'm 49 next month. And, you know, when I was 25 and 30, I knew that when I'm 50, I'm not going to want to be running around shaking my ass on the fucking stage. You know, I'm not going to want to be the old man in the club. And the thing that I knew that gave me residual income was movies. And that's the reason why I started to make movies. And then when I realized where the industry was going, where there was this direct to consumer relationship, I knew that making content was the wave. And I've been telling everybody, make content so you can get residual income. So I've been stacking content sort of like, you know, like let's say about 20 years ago, if I was in the street and, you know, work was cheap, I'd buy a lot of it, put some of it up, so when there was a drought, I could bring it out and sell it for double the price. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. You always thought like that and been a visionary. And I say this with the utmost respect. Like, it's so many guys in the game that I get a chance to sit down and do this with. And I hate that we're not in person, but this is, you know, just as cool as that. And you schooled me and taught me lessons from afar. You know what I mean? Like when I first got out, I did 18 months and I hit the street. That's when Roc-A-Fella and everything was going strong. And I used to hold on to the words of the information that you was just dropping. I went to prep school. I was just watching your vision and I was just like, yo, Like this brother is schooling me from a distance because he cut from the same cloth, man. So like that was big, bro, for you planting those seeds.
You went to prep school?
Yeah, I went to prep school, MCI, Maine. Yep.
Maine. I went to school. Hey, that's all white people out there. Hey, I went to Camp Wildwood. Hey, Nicolette, go live or something. So, you know, also, and I appreciate that. And also, you know, when I do have this time, because, you know, I stay home a lot, I keep my circle tight. All my events were always called under 100, but I do have a little more time, and there are things that do bother me. I'm human, and I do have issues with the way we as a culture are treated in television, just based on my personal experience. So, in dealing with WeTV and E1 and just television in general, you know, I really noticed that all of our stories have to be told by white production companies, and I don't understand that. And when I do get in front of the networks and I present the same exact stories, they don't want those stories unless they come from a white production company. And these white production companies, they hire someone black, right? And you think that it's a black production company, but when you go to the office, it's not. There's not black. There's your office, that one black person, and the rest of the office is usually the little one, and the rest are a bunch of white people with posters of black people on the wall. And I don't appreciate that. And when I actually did do business with WeChannel, because I would approach them when I was doing growing up hip hop, I approached Lauren and asked her, why is it that I'm watching every other person in here that's not of color build their brand? Meaning E1 gets to have all these growing up hip hop television shows. The person that was the originator of it, his name is Atari, he's black. I don't see him anymore. It's not building my brand, and you keep intensely trying to separate my family. And it's not for any money. It's not. I don't understand it. I'm not getting enough money for this my kid. So they were like, all right, you know, we know you could do production for a good price point. They gave me a minimal budget as a production company, and they didn't think I could deliver. I delivered. I over-delivered. Then they gave me deliverables that they didn't think I could deliver. And I just delivered 60 pages worth of deliverables to Lionsgate for one of my movies. So it was nothing to me, and I own everything. Delivered that. I get a lawsuit with E1. They greenlit it. Like, okay, we're gonna play it, see how it does. This, that, and the third. Just get the deliverables. When I give them deliverables, now they don't want to do it. Why? Because it's a black story told by a black man. And what I don't like is the television networks know exactly what the production companies do. They know they overcharge for editing bays. They know they skim. They know, because the way they do it is, you know, you have an idea, you bring it to a production company, they take it, they bring it to a network, the network buys that idea, then they pay the production company and give them a budget to deliver a product. So they might say, here's $400,000 a show. Whatever you bring back, as long as you bring back the show, I don't care how much of that $400,000 you keep. So they just continue to pretend that they're renting stuff that they own, and they make us work for nothing because they say, oh, you could go walk through a strip club and get paid. And they continue to make money off the dysfunction of our culture. And they laugh at us, and they walk into rooms and they make us treat them like these nerds are the bosses. So, you know, showrunners that trick us like Jennifer Gardner and, you know, the Mark Hart, what's his name? Mark Hedwig, sitting behind the desk getting a promotion every time he makes one of us fight. And the main ringleader of them all, Tara Reid, Tara Long from E1, you know, and every black, like every production company I know, a black production company, they all say, I don't know why this woman comes along and gets to tell our stories before us. They don't get it. They all have bad experiences, and no one says anything because no one wants to burn a bridge. You know, we fight each other before we fight them. And I'm the guy that fights them. I'm the guy that be like, oh, he's always mad. He's always grumpy. Why? Because I'm fighting them for us, and it's always going to be a fight. I'm not mad all the time, but if someone's going to disrespect me, my family, and my culture, I can't just turn the blind eye. So in this moment that I'm a television network, because instead of complaining about it, I have my own network. I'll make my own programming. I'm going to give new programming every week, new programming. So today I'm going to give you Forbidden Knowledge with Billy Carson, you know, the information from the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Emerald Tablets, you know, the information about the Anunnakis that they don't tell us that exists. I'm going to give you that fully produced. I'm going to give you comedy shows that were made last week. I got live shows with T Grizzly. I got scripted shows.
That's crazy.
Dress to Kill. And then the TV show that I made that we channel isn't showing. I'm going to show it on my network.
On your platform.
I'm showing it. I have a network and a platform. I'm showing it on both. So I have a streaming service and a 24-hour network. There's DTV and Dame Dash Studios.
Yes, sir. And that's crazy because when I look at how you trailblaze in the music industry and you was talking like this and everybody was like, man, Dame, you know, this or that. And now you was the true entrepreneur and the trailblazer in the beginning because you was talking to, you know, before everybody else was talking. And now you speaking on it from an entertainment standpoint, you know, building content and all that and shopping it in production. And now people are saying the same thing again. Like, how does that make you feel? Like, this shit is like deja vu.
I mean, I knew it was going to happen. So, you know, it's like it took long enough. It's crazy that it took a pandemic, whatever you call it, to make people really understand their power and what they creatively on their own. So what's happening now are the generals, the people that like to have answers, not always have questions. The people that go ahead and do and fight for love and for their family, they're figuring out ways to be creative and get things done from their crib. And what people are going to know is they could have been did that. They did not need the people and these middlemen and these gatekeepers that pretend we need them to validate us when we can do shit on our own. And because of the internet, there's freedom. You know, and, you know, cable TV, it exists, but it's a dinosaur. You know, the direct-to-consumer relationship is all that counts, the Netflix of the world. See, I prepared for this moment. Even if this moment never happened, you always have to be prepared to fight in a war. I'm always prepared to do things on my own. You know, I burn certain bridges so I never go back. If you're disrespecting me, if you're disrespecting my culture, there's no bag that's going to make it okay for me to just sell out my people. Like, I'm in the 1%, but I care about the 99. I fight for the 99. What put me in the 1% was the 99. So I'm never okay with the 1% laughing at 99. And I don't understand people that come from the 99 that get to the 1, forget about the 99. How do you do that? How do you sell out your whole culture for yourself because of self-preservation? You know, I love to love people, and my test in life is to continue to love it despite all the backstabbing and all the people that violate. It's never going to stop me from giving. It's never going to stop me from fighting for us. And it's never going to stop me from stopping fights between us and focusing us on fighting them, because they always make us fight each other to distract us from what the fuck they doing. And every time we kill one another and beat one another or do anything, it's big news and they make money. And we go backwards while they laugh. They don't go forward because it's evil, but they laugh at us. We have to have some pride. We have to stop turning the blind eye. You know, there has to be some accountability. It can't just be about yourself. You got to have, like, life should be about a purpose, something to fight for. You should fight for your children. You should fight for your girl. You should fight for your culture. You know, you should fight so the ones you love don't have to. That's the purpose of being on this planet and having nuts and having muscles and having testosterone and the power to think and fight legally.
You always teach through your interviews and on your live chats and everything. And it's not to promote something or sell something. So to my point, what I'm saying is not just this issue where you talk about black production and not being, you know, having a seat at the table or really having some true empowerment. You also giving educational lessons from a health standpoint. You always say, look, bro, I'm diabetic, and these are the underlying health issues that affect our communities. And then you giving a pretty much a visual tutorial, and you have unprecedented content on your site as well, on your platform, where you just schooling and educating. Why are you doing this, and why is it important for you to elevate and plant these seeds in our culture?
It's all I know how to do. It's the only thing that makes me feel good. And, you know, think about this. As I'm bringing awareness to production companies, I'm not a production company. I'm a television network that feels sorry for all the black storytellers and people with experience that have to go through gatekeepers, and then when it's finally told, it's told in a way that makes us look like, ridiculous, that undermines the whole point of telling the story in the first place. This is done intentionally. I can't help it, and I believe that, when I was 20 years ago, what I was promoting was a little bit unevolved, but evolved at the same. I might have been promoting, it's all right to hurt the culture by selling certain things to get money. It might be all right to take another man's life and shit like that. And karmically, it's no good. So as I became conscious, as I evolved, as I know where, as a young man with a lot of and a platform to say things I wish I said different ones. Now that I have it, I'm going to teach while I learn. And what people need to understand is real wealth is love, and real wealth is your health. And spending a lot of money on clothes and jewelry, but buying cheap food makes no sense. Putting things on your body that just for perception, to kill an animal just for perception, not to be warm, for comfort, to kill something and eat it for comfort, not because you don't have to. To me, karmically, that can't be right, and we have to understand that just because we're born into certain patterns, there's savage patterns for the unevolved, and it's never necessary to hurt. It's always necessary to love. You only hurt to defend for survival, but we're past that. We're at a point where it's like we're doing things that hurt the planet, that hurt each other, that hurt animals, just for comfort, for distraction, because we don't even like our life. And that makes no sense, So the thing that I'm embracing about what's happening, and I feel all compassion for anyone that's being affected by this, and big props to the brave people that are fighting for us. But the natural world is taking a rest. The pollution is less. The fish are coming back out, and it was almost like the planet was fighting back. And at some point, you got to say, yo, the planet hasn't kicked our ass in 100 years. In my lifetime, I haven't seen something like this. So if this shit happens once every 100 years, it might not be the worst thing in the world. And we should learn from it. There's always light in the dark. We have to always find the positive and the negative. The negative is only there for us to learn from it. And if we don't learn from it, all pain is in vain. There's no reason for it. So the only reason why we survive strong, good, and so other people can learn from it. And that's why I feel like you always, as a man on this life, in this vibration, be prepared to fight, but know what the fight is. It's not a stupid, goofy fight where you hurt your own color. That's a dumb fight. It doesn't, I'm not going after some actor or director. I'm going at a whole television network. Let's see, and by myself. Let's see somebody do that.
Damn, that's deep, bro. Who was some of your mentors that put you on the game like this from an educational standpoint? Bro, there's so many layers to you from a mental standpoint, spiritually, everything. And I know that your experience, dictate that as well. But who were some of your mentors that schooled you on this game to think like this?
It's crazy. It's just the circle of people that I've always surrounded myself with have always been the ones that want to evolve. So in the street, guys like my OG Daniel and Jazz, from the old, the council days, into the way as that, but then going to private schools and boarding schools as a young child and seeing the culture that everyone's afraid of. I was just like, yo, I'm better athletic, better, I can fight better, I'm funnier. I don't understand. I don't get it, and I just didn't get it. So, and then surviving, going back from private and going back and surviving, the street in a way where I didn't have to karmically suffer because I didn't have to kill nobody or no shit, like, to where I was saving people's lives. The people that were the opinion leaders, the people that were really doing it, they were kind of intelligent, the ones that were trying to get out the game. And then in the music business, there would be people's lifestyles that I would observe, but I might say they don't fight hard enough, but I would be cool like them. So I liked how Stax Records moved. You know what I'm saying? Because there was like Motown, and big shout out to Barry Gordy, and I love everything he did. But I always thought like Stax Records was more Roc-A-Fella. Like I like the fact that they just was gangster about it, and they were doing movies, not the Mac, but the other one, I forgot. But and Isaac Hayes, all of that.
Tucker.
And then like the collaboration of all cultures making music in the most racist place. I liked all of that type of thing. I've always been influenced by different kinds of music. I like rock and roll, but I love hip. And everywhere I go and everyone I talk to, I always want to hear something new, and I'm always interested in the history. Taj Mahal, the blues legend, is my OG, and he can tell you the history of every single kind of music from 1950 to now. I sat on Hawaii on a beach next to that man just to listen to him just school me. Like I like to listen to people experience things and that have meant something. Farrakhan taught me how to farm. You know what I mean? Like you would think he sent for me, and he loved my fight and all that. But what he was more intrigued about was what I've been trying to teach everyone is get some land and grow your own food. He taught me about GMO seeds and that we need to be making our own food. And that's the best way you got to grow your own food. So there's bits and pieces, from a distance, just because I loved how he fought and how he stood by his principles, especially when it was in a time where it wasn't so convenient to have these sort of principles and be so militant. Martin Luther King, just for the strategic way he exposed, the violence and how crazy it was by saying and convincing black people not to hit so we can embarrass them. Don't give them a reason to fucking hit us, and they're still going to disrespect us. Let the world see. That was brilliant to me, but how brave he was to be in church and, right in the middle of that, calling the governor like, yo, you said you was going to hold me down. It's a bunch of white sheets out there. What's good? Like, really walking with the racists, like coming to them. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of easy to be beefing from the East when the shit's popping off in the South. But he was actually there. So, and there might be that doesn't exist. So I just try to take the best pieces of everybody and apply it to what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I learn. A lot of books that we read, that I've read, all of that shit. From The Godfather to The Seed of the Soul, all of those things. So all day, I feel like right now, this vibe to learn. Everything is a challenge. It's not like any one person on the planet has a perfect seen it. I've never seen a person exist without crying, without going through something, a loss, being embarrassed or being stressed. I guess that's a human pattern that we're here for. But what I do know is I see most of the world controlled by fear. They don't make their dreams come true because someone else tells them not to. That's not their own dreams come true. We're scared. We're born into thinking we have to sit in a school when we're young while the sun is out and get used to sitting behind a desk in a chair while people are running around getting suntan. And that's supposed to be normal. My children are programmed to think that unless they pay to go to college, that they've done something wrong. And that's all they know at this age. And they're being told that by people that I'm paying $43,000 a year to tell them that. It's the illest hustle in the whole world. But when you get there, they don't teach you about farming. They don't teach you about therapy. They don't teach you about sustainability, being independent, paying tax. They teach you about everything but what you really need to function in the real world. Because there is no real world that just functions like a dorm and functions like a school. That's not the real world. And how does somebody that's not in business teach you about business? I don't understand that. How could you teach someone how to be a billionaire and you not? I don't get it. So yeah. It never made sense to me that I'm 15 and I've already figured out certain things. My education that I need might not be the same education that you need. You might need to be taught how to follow direction. I need to go to school for being a leader. That's what I want to teach. Leaders, bosses, generals. As the system is set up, we're taught to be soldiers. not generals.
And you produced a lot of those when you talk about bosses, generals, and you always put your brothers on. You know, I was looking at one of the docs backstage where you was just talking about, you know, I'm building kingdoms pretty much, and that's pretty much what happened when you look at a lot of the old groups that was together and what they're doing now. You pretty much inspired a whole path for a lot of brothers from different walks of life. You look at Jay, he's a billionaire. You look at Kanye, he's a multi-millionaire, close to a billy. One of the hottest cats in the game, your little brother. And you put a lot of people on.
Let me just say something. In real business, in real time, I give Kanye that Billy first. He's selling $1 billion worth of sneakers currently. I don't know nobody doing, worth and, cat. Kanye selling that. But he gets on my nerves sometimes, like right now. But I will have to give him that Billy status before anybody. But yes, I'm happy that in my deck, in my feathers, in my cap, my conversation is billions. That's what I do. The collateral damage of being around me is you're called the billionaire. And it never doesn't happen if you listen, But just sometimes when you show people a plug, they want to run. That also happens. It's human nature.
That's deep. And what's the vision now that you have, now going forward in the game? Like, you've done screenwriting, you've done directing, producing, acting. You've pretty much done everything across the board and done it, might well. What's next for you with what you're doing with your platform and your network?
Well, like I was saying before, I'm impressed with Kanye currently because he's currently selling things at volume. I'm not. I'm doing cool things, but I want to be able to take what I'm doing into cool, and I want it to hit pop culture without having to get a push from anybody. I want to partner up the same way I did Roc-A-Fella, the same way I did Rockware, Rachel Roy, the same way I put on Lee Daniels and Kevin. I want to put me on, but not as an actor, not as a director. I want to put me on as the chairman of Disney. I'm making indie Disney for us, where we tell our stories, we make our franchise, and the economy. Everybody knows when I'm in culture, everyone eats. I don't hide the plug. So again, it took me a minute to do this because I did it on my own in what most people would call a war. But I prefer it this way. I was able to understand how to make content, distribute content, and do it on my own without having to raise a dollar. And I could do it in the middle of a pandemic. How you say it?
Pandemic.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it, OG.
Thank you. Sometimes, I like, sometimes I'm mad at it. I'm not meant to say right. Pronunciation, like sometimes when people pronounce shit right, it sounds funny to me. So sometimes I even pronounce certain things wrong just because I like it. I sound better than I'm. No one's going to tell me how to say things, but I do want to say it correctly because this is important, But again, I'm not just going to complain. The way I'm going to fight is by giving you what they're not: content, opportunity, and our stories, the good parts of our, shit that's going to make us smarter, not stupid. Stuff that's going to focus us, not distract us. See, my shit is deprogramming, not programming. Because we're all programmed to do a whole lot and accept a whole lot of bullshit. And the main thing is we need them to make us and validate us. And those days must be over. It has to change while I'm here.
100%. What's been your greatest achievement, just as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, as a content builder, all the things you've been doing? What's been your greatest achievement, bro?
It's hard to gauge that because every time I do something new, it feels greatest. I just like doing new shit, Like I'm a guy that gets bored real fast because, I have no ceiling for my dream, Scott. So I'm always dreaming about doing more. I don't feel like I've gotten where I want to go yet because, again, I want to do it on my own. I don't like this perception game. I know that game. I've been where you pretend you're doing a lot more than you are. It's all smoke and mirrors. I really want to be able to my children, but I don't want to sell my friends out to do it. And that's what I refuse to do. I'm not selling my friends out. I won't do it. I can't sell my friends out, bro. I just can't do it. There's no bag that will ever make me, you could call selling your friends out ingenious. I call it sucker shit, and I call it weak and cowardly. And there's no stats. I don't care how much money you got. If you had to rob your friends to get there, then you don't have shit to me. You're broke, period.
Damn, that's 1,000 right there. And when you ultimately look at your legacy, and you pretty much summed it in that statement right there, but when you ultimately look at your legacy, what do you want to be remembered or known for most?
I don't know. I just want the truth to be told and be remembered for me to be the man that I actually am. But when a man does a lot of great things, a lot of weak people try to take credit for him by painting bad pictures. And that's traditionally what happens in this whole existence. So I've seen people try to repaint history, but because I've documented it, I'm going to make sure the narrative gets told correctly. So if they don't get it now, they will get it later, But if they don't, I did my job karmically. I feel good. My conscience, at the end of the day, my motivation is love. And I just want to love the people that deserve it. I want to make sure I have the right family and that I treat my family right and that they treat me right and that we just have our own little love bubble, you know what I mean? And people could learn from that. And I think people need to create their own little love bubbles because when there's a pandemic, you got to be able to function and, you got to be able to have accountability. You got to know fucking with so you know who's sick and who's not.
I appreciate that, fam. Last question for me is just, I'm looking at the visuals in the backdrop of, Fred Hampton. Who are some of the other individuals up there in the backdrop on the paintings on the wall?
Well, look at it. I got all the back, it's Huey. There's all of them back there.
Huey P.
Yeah. And then I got Biggie over here.
Rapping.
Yeah, but look. Now, can you 5 Biggies? There's 5 of them.
All right, I see the head on the crown. I see him with the mic. I think I see him in the back, like with the white tee.
I'm gonna help you out.
That's 3.
There's 5 of them.
Let me see.
Like when you see people post that, this is the,
Oh, I see the white face too. Like it's kind of like a shade in, right?
Yeah. There's one here. There's one here. There's one.
Oh, that's crazy.
Shit is fly. I was showing that in one of my galleries, but
how did you get into that space, like with the art and all that? With the galleries, like what drawing you to that?
I like art.
I love it.
I got walls. Like after the music business, I don't know if like all that time people were really bombing on. I always had like a building, like a DD 172, where I have a gallery and a place to have the network. Because I had creative control with Cootie and Shike. And then I had Under 100 in the basement where we would make clothes and do all these different things and just capture content. That was in 2009. You know what I'm saying? So I just opened up galleries wherever I go. Gallery, like even like when I was selling motor oil, I would turn the warehouse and the factory into a gallery and throw raves with my son. You know what I mean? It's just the world is here for me to have fun without hurting people. So I look at everything like a canvas and I have fun with this shit. I don't want to do anything normal because normal's whack. Like, why do it like anyone else? So my art and my creativity is to be tasteful, but do it different and make sure I'm not hurting anybody. But everything I do, I got to do it with a certain swag. You know what I mean? Everything. So like swag and taste transcends everything. You can't be good at dressing and not have good music, and you can't be good at dressing and have good music taste but be eating bad food. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? So you should have good taste in food, good taste in art, good taste in music. If you're in music, like I make sure I do an instrument, things like that. I can jam out a band. I got a rock album that I just did with the Black Guns. I got like 3 albums. And we was doing shows. We caught the last show at the Peppermint Club before the pandemic. We got it a week before. So, and the reason why I do that is just to lead by example. I tell my artists or people that don't have a show, if you don't rehearse, then you really ain't in the music. That's the only place you're going to sell. So, people weren't doing this. I just did it myself. You know what I mean? But as fun, I'm Billy Pablo III thing. But I be having the ball, and I got the best guitar player, drummer, and bass player on the planet. Go put him up against anyway. For real. Living. Tash and the guitar is the best. He's the best.
Hands down.
They can't nobody fuck with him. Like,
damn.
Only ones that could have are too old now. Like, now they good, but they can't fuck because he's too young. Like Hendrix I never saw Hendrix live, but he's the only one that I say could even get close. He nice, B. Tash is dead nice. You got to see him live. I went around the world with Tash. We went to the top of the Great Wall of China and smoked just to be rock stars and shit. We would book out a studio. I'd get him with a DJ and like DJ Wordy, the best DJ in Beijing, and just jam out. In Beijing for like 4 hours smoking weed and shit, I hotboxed the whole China.
Damn. That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Hey, man, I want to thank you for coming on the pod, man, and hopping on like this on the strength. I reached out to you and immediately you was just like, bro, all right, cool. Just give me a time. It's whatever. And, a long time idol of mine, man, and it's everything that I thought it would be, man. The wealth of insight and information that you drop, man, I appreciate you. I can't wait to meet you in person. We have seen each other in passing before, but never was I able to just step to you and have that conversation. So, bro, I appreciate you. I want to give you the flowers while you're here and while I'm looking at you eye to eye. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Appreciate you too. Keep working. And I see what you're doing out there. And that's why I was like, nah, he pushing. So, it shouldn't be difficult. And it's easy right now. And I want to get a copy of it so I can post it up on my show.
1000%. Appreciate you, OG. I got you.
When you going to put it out?
This upcoming week, Tuesday.
Tuesday, let me know.
All right. Thank you.